Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I don't even know where to begin. I really don't. Um, let's start off with Allie since I think that's when the episode really started. Um, so Allie and Trip are sitting there talking, and Allie leaves her room, but she's sitting there telling Trip like not to leave because Chanel's out there, and I don't want to sit there and deal with that mess pretty much. But she walks out, and Chanel's like, you know what? Listen, it's cool. I know Trip is in the other room. You can come on out. So he comes out, and Chanel's like, listen, you chose him. It's fine. We've been friends for a long time. It is what it is. We're always gonna be friends, and nothing's gonna change. Now you have Trip is like, yo, you sure? Like, I know y'all was getting close. Like, we good? Like, meanwhile, you got Allie standing there looking guilty. Okay, she looks guilty because she knows what she did to Chanel, And, listen, Chanel is not my favorite character, and I've said that many and many of times, but still. At this point, Chanel's like, listen, thank you for letting me stay on the couch. I'm just gonna find my own place. You know. Which I'm just like, how are you gonna do that and you have no money? I'm literally sitting there thinking, I was like, you have no money. Unless you borrow from your mother. You have no you have no money. You don't want to stay at your mother's. You really wore out your welcome with Lonnie and Eli. So where exactly are you planning on going? But with that being said, she leaves. And, Allie's like, I feel kind of bad because, in a way, I let her on. I'm like, yes, you did lead her on. And, Trip is like, no, you didn't do it. I was like, no. I am so sick and tired of people sitting there babying Allie. That's literally what she did. And I'm like, you should feel bad. You really should. You did do that. And I have said it in yesterday's review, so I'm not going to really kind of re-go over it. But the point is, she let her on. And now she feels bad about it. But, yeah. Now let's talk about Nicole for a minute, because Nicole, I just do not understand. I remember a couple months ago, I don't know what they were doing with Nicole's hair and makeup, but it was all over the place. I mean, one minute they're having her wear like black lipstick and this weird hairstyle, and like the makeup was all like off or whatever. It was like they were trying to experiment with her. But anyway, Nicole. So she comes in the pub, and she's all sad, she's all depressed, because she's sitting there thinking about the last time she was there with Eric. She sits down, and she's all sad, she starts crying, and Theo walks over, and he's like, is everything alright, you good? And, pretty much, Nicole's like, I feel sad, because, Eric has been gone for so long. And here's the thing, and I said this before, but I'm going to sit there and say it again. It's hard for me to feel sorry for Nicole to a large extent, because the day after their wedding, you pretty much okayed him to go to South Africa. You literally was like, no, it's fine, I understand. The people there, they really need you and they miss you and stuff like that. And they, you can really help a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, but like it hasn't even been a week yet. And you're just going to be like, no, that's cool, whatever. And let's sit there and think about this whole mission, whatever he's doing, that he went down there for. Whatever it is, whatever it was, it seems like it wasn't going to get solved in about 3 or 4 months. So, like, what was the timetable when he was going down there? Like, it seemed like whatever it was, when he was going down there, it was going to be a lot longer than that. It seemed like it was going to be a damn near lifelong commitment. Whatever it is that he's doing, because, let's be honest, we don't know. You know, it seems like he was so needed there, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, what is he doing, and how long is this going to take? Because it just, it seems like it was going to be a forever job. Like, it seemed like whatever it wasn't going to just be a couple of months, and it was like, alright, at some point, like, you're not living there, you actually have to come back home at some point. So, like, this whole arc being gone for this long, and granted, I get it, you know, that the actor left, and they had to sit there and find a way for him, you know, a way to explain, what the hell? They had to find a way to sit and explain his long absence, but this whole mission, whatever it was like, well, what was it? And if that's the case, then, like, anyway, so she's upset, and, you know, she gets the news from Theo that, yeah, he recovered the number, but it was a burner phone and it's deactivated. So, there goes that. That's out the window. So, with that being said, Theo leaves, and of course, Luke is there. He comes in, he sits down, and once again, Nicole's like, oh, listen, I'm gonna sit down and find a way to prove that y'all two are... I'm gonna find a way for y'all two to sit there, you know, to prove that y'all two had an affair, and yada 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 yada. And Luke is like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, she leaves. Now, Lucas, turns out he was the one that stopped the envelope from burning. And I'm sitting there wondering why. In the beginning I was like, why didn't you just let it burn? What was the point of saving it from the fire? Like, I don't understand that. But of course, he calls Sammy, which, by the way, I don't even know where to start with this scene. The scene of EJ and Sammy. EJ... And of course, he just had to start work, like, right then and there. So, Sammy wakes up, and EJ's like, so, where'd you go? Like, you know, you just left the bedroom. Like, where'd you go? Like, when I was asleep. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, listen, I like this new EJ and everything like that, but this dude is sitting there asking questions like, well, where did you go when you left the bed? I don't know, she went to go and pee. Like, what kind of, like, and he was literally grilling her about, you know, her absence from being from the bed. And she was like, oh, well, I went out to, you know, get some wine or some iced tea or whatever. And he was like, oh, when I went down there, you weren't there. I don't even know where to begin on just how exactly creepy and controlling that is. You know? And she was like, oh, I went out on the terrace or whatever. I'm like, the fact that you gotta sit there and, like, give him a play-by-play of what you did when you left the bed is a problem. And I just... Listen, I don't know what those two are like in the 90s. You know, from what I heard from, Brock TV, you know. They were a thing, you know, they were the hot couple, you know, they were, you know, they were the people, you know, they were the steamy couple, whatever, you know. They were legendary, I guess, or something. But whatever that was in the 90s, it's 2021, and this dude is literally sitting there interrogating his wife in the bed about where she went. Okay. But then, you know, he gives her a necklace, and they start kissing, and I'm not gonna lie, oh my goodness, I don't know what it is about those two, but whenever they get intimate, it's just really gross to hear. I don't know why. Maybe because every time when Sammy kisses EJ, it just comes across as so over the top, you know? Like, I don't know how to describe it. I may have to get a little kind of gross for a minute, but... And I know most people may not understand this because most people don't dive into porn or whatever, but I'm going to sit there and kind of use this as an example, and I don't know if this is going to make any sense or whatever. So, I don't even know how to sit there and say this. Pretty much, it's like if a guy sits there and watch porn, and they're just like really over the top. You know, like if I'm sitting there watching something, it's just really over the top. Like they're yelling, they're screaming, they're like being like extremely rough. They're doing all this extra stuff, and it's just like, this isn't sexy. This is taking me completely out of the mood. This is way over the top. You know, this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. That's sort of like the same thing, I guess, somewhat, watching Sammy and EJ kiss and sort of have sex or whatever. It's just like, it's so over the top. Like, she does this, oh, like I miss it. It's like reading a really old cheesy romance novel. And I get it, it's a soap opera, but it's just like, ew. It's just, listen, I can't sit there and judge EJ because, well, I'm into girls. Sammy is okay, but again, it's just so gross. And I know I've spent way too much time on this, but it's like every time they're in a bed and they start kissing, it's just like, ew. No, this isn't working. This is grossing me out. I can't even sit there. I feel like sometimes whenever I watch it, and I said this before, I feel like every time I sit there and watch those two go at it, I'm just like, well, I guess I won't be watching that tonight, because, well, they made sure that didn't work, so thank you. But after that, EJ leaves, and she gets a call from Lucas, and the minute she answers the phone, she's like, the hell do you want? I'm sorry, what? What did you say? Is this how you always answer the phone? What the hell do you want? So, she's talking to Sam. She's talking to Lucas, and talking about the letter and everything like that, and how Nicole was determined, and yada yada yada. Tried to get a phone number from Kristen, but it didn't work, and just kind of really filling her in on what's going on. And she comes across as so unappreciative. Also, she just blurts out, oh yeah, me and EJ just had sex. Why would you say that? Like, Sammy is so callous with Lucas' feelings. It's just like, here's the thing. I'm not even a super fan of Lucas. I mean, I don't like hate him or anything like that, but I'm just like, well, damn. She act like, it's like she act like she didn't care. I mean, granted, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, like, are you? Because I know when I'm talking to someone, and I did an intimate act with someone else, I don't just blurt out, oh, by the way, me and yada yada wasn't there having, no. I mean, I kind of, side on the rule of, gentlemen don't kiss and tell, but just in general. But she had no problem saying, oh, me and EJ had sex. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, but he bought me this necklace and stuff like that, and it was really nice and it was really sweet. And I'm like, why are you telling him that? Like, why are you telling him that? So, he's even like, yeah, he seems like a really swell guy or whatever. And after that, she hands the phone, and Luke is just plotting like he wants to sit there and tell EJ about the affair at this point. He's just like, yo, listen, I'm tired. I am sick and tired of this smug bastard, and I want to do whatever I can to wipe that smile off of his face. So he actually goes to Damaro's place, and, he walks up to EJ, and he's like, well, he says something. I don't know what he says, but, he just has that look like, yep, I'm about to blow his world wide apart. And I was going to sit there and say the hell with Sammy, but let's be honest, Sammy, I don't really feel bad for her. I really don't. She's going to be all, having a little freak out, somewhat Karen-like moment, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't. As Chanel's walking, because she is clearly upset. She's walking, she runs into Theo, and Theo's like, is everything alright? Like, you good? Like, what's going on with you? How can I help you? And Chanel doesn't really get into the specifics of it, but, they talk about the bakery and everything like that, and, how upset she is about it. And then she kisses Theo. And Theo was like, what the hell are you doing? You know, she's all like, oh, you know, we could sit there and be friends with benefits and yada, yada, yada. And then Theo asked the question, and here's my thing. And this is something that I just noticed right now. So, Theo asked her some sort of question like, why'd you do this or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, you know, I'm very impulsive, and when I really want to do something, I just do it. Now, these two actresses are playing the character very, very, very different. See, that line would have worked with the first Chanel. But whenever she tries to sound like the other version, it's just like, no. And no, I'm not, no. Granted, I didn't like I didn't like the character of Chanel. And every time she said these little cheesy, corny lines or whatever, it was just like, okay, whatever. But with that being said, when she was talking about her impulsiveness, that line would have came off a lot better off the old Chanel than this version. I know they had to sit there and get somebody else, and it is what it is. But it's one of those things where it's like, see, this is what wound up happening when you recast someone. And granted, she may do a better job in certain areas than the old one, but it's just one of those things that was like, oof, that was just, that was kind of rough to sit there and hear. I don't think I want to hear that again. Can you try not to sound like the ocean now? Just do your own thing or whatever, because it's not, whatever. But anyway, she starts walking, and, you know, this is after she finds out that Theo is engaged. So she, at this point, now she's even more upset. And Theo's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, bro, you can't sit there and be like, you can't, I get you want to try to help her, but you can't apologize for that. I mean, you know, she walks off, and that's pretty much the end of that. And I think that's pretty much the end of the scene, so. Now, but I just sneeze. Brady and Xander get into it for a little bit. You know, and Brady's like, listen, I know why you got this job. You only got it because you're blackmailing Nicole. They go back and forth, back and forth. At one point, Xander's like, listen. He says something along the lines of, oh, well, you know, you're the one that, like, stabbed your brother in the back when you betrayed him during something. I guess Brady must have did something with Nicole or some girlfriend that Eric had that Brady did, and he kind of screwed him over. But at some point, they're going back and forth, and they seem like they're about to get into blows. Nicole comes in like, what is going on? And Xander leaves. And, you know, at first Brady, you know, he apologized, like, yo, listen, I didn't mean that to come out, but it kind of did. Nicole kind of just sits there and looks like, what am I even doing? You know? Like, I'm trying to run around, I'm trying to neutralize Sammy, I'm doing all this, and I don't even know if I actually have a marriage anymore, you know? So, Brady does his best to sit here and try to comfort her. She goes back home, because at this point, Brady's like, you're not going to get any work done. So, she goes back home. She opens the door, she sees the flowers there. And she reads the note, it's from Eric, you know, it's not they're saying that he didn't forget about the anniversary. So, she's all happy and, you know, about to tear up and stuff like that. And then, out of nowhere, you just hear this guy's voice. Now, I'm not going to lie. I had my feelings about Eric, and I still do, because I felt like they were just, they made him up. When I got there, when I got to the party, Eric was just boring as hell, okay? I felt like there was no reason. Like, when he left, I was like, yo, you need to just go, because, like, you're not doing anything for me, and you seem like you haven't been doing anything in a while. And, of course, I read the interview where he felt like he was a backseat in his own story or something like that, so he wasn't happy about him just being a boring character either. But when I heard his voice, there was a part of me that did get a little bit hyped. Granted, I already knew that he was coming back, I just didn't know when. But you heard his voice, she turns over, and she sees Eric. And so I'm like, alright, this is going to be good. This seems like it's going to be an interesting storyline. And I think that's pretty much what he wanted. He wanted to be in something that was like interesting, exciting in some ways that he can sit there and really show his acting skills. And not just be like, oh, I'm just Nicole's husband and I'm just someone's brother and it's like I'm just kinda here and it's like, alright bro, can you like do something? Juggle something, do something entertaining because you're just kinda like, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of storyline they're going to have for him because now Nicole's going to have to sit there and work overtime. She thought she was like, alright, you know what, listen, I'm not even going to bother to do all this work because I don't know if I even have a marriage, so screw it. A lot of heavy lifting anyway. And now that he's back, and Xander seems like he just does not give a damn. There was one point where Brady was like, because Xander was like, oh, you know, did she tell you about the hot, amazing sex that she had with me? How about how great I was? And Brady was like, yo, listen, you took advantage of a drunk woman in a bad state. And you know what Xander said? Xander was like, aren't we all in a bad state? Ah, man. You know, Xander has a way of just saying things where you're just like, do you even think about the stuff that comes out of your mouth? Like, is there a part of you that just feels that the decent part is just, oh, I don't listen to that anymore. I just kind of say whatever I want. I mean, this guy literally just totally ignored the fact that Brady called him out for taking advantage of a woman that's in a bad state, that's drunk. Now granted, he was drunk too, and I'm not going to get into the whole consent thing because I'm just not going to do that. Not that I don't believe in consent, so let's not get it twisted. I'm just not going down that rabbit hole. But the point is, it was one of those things where it's like you took advantage of a woman that was drunk. And you seemed like you had no remorse. Hell, you even just remarked, aren't we all in a bad state? That's sort of like the comment about Charlie. When he was feeling bad for Charlie, like, oh, you know, he had a rough childhood, he had a rough life, you know, he was the victim, or he was saying something to defend him. And he said something, I don't remember what he said, but he said something as far as, really? As far as like defending his actions, and you're just like, bro, you just defended the actions, and you defended pretty much a guy who RAP someone else. And that makes sense. I mean, granted, he was like, yeah, I know, I just, you know, I'm in a state or whatever. I was like, no, there's no state in the world that I will ever be in when I defend a RAP yada 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 for anything. So Xander is just, I don't know. But yeah, now you have him fishing around, so it's not gonna be good. It's not. It's gonna be interesting, but for Nicole, yeah. Now the last scene I'm gonna sit there and talk about is the Gabby and Jake scene, because pretty much Gabby's getting ready to go to work, and Jake is like, well, I just finished a box of cereal, so that's pretty much my day. I'm just like, listen, I know that you're upset and you're kind of licking your wounds and everything like that, but Gabby is not there trying to go out with somebody who doesn't have ambition. I'm just saying. And by the way, this guy is just walking around shirtless, just walking around the house shirtless, like no one else lives there. Like Rafe or Ava doesn't live there. By the way, I cannot pronounce your name, so I'm not. It's something. It starts with an S. But the point is, really. But the point is, what I didn't know was that the actor who plays Jake was the same actor who plays Stefano. He played Stefano back in the day. I didn't know that. I mean, I remember him. You know, the actor, he was Johnny Sakara on GH, So I didn't know he went back that far. So this dude was on days for a while before I gotta sit there and read about it. Anyway, with that being said, Gabby's like gonna have a plan as far as, you know, getting you back in the saddle and getting revenge on EJ and stuff like that. And what she pretty much said was that, you know, at some point, you know, because she's like, work at Titan, eventually Philip is gonna be out because of Victor, and then, you know, we can sit there and run the company together. And I'm like, I feel like I kind of have a problem with that. Listen, I get it. You know, it's not like Gabby was like, you know, I want to sit there and out him or hope he gets outed or anything like that. Gabby's just like, he's going to do something that's going to out himself. But I kind of looked at it and I was like, you know, Philip was actually really decent to her. You know, when they went out and, you know, she wanted to have sex with him or whatever, and he was like, are you sure? And then she stopped, she pulled back, and Philip was actually pretty nice to her. He was like, yo, let's not get it. No harm, no foul. You're not into me. You're still, you know, he didn't sit there and wasn't hurt by it. He wasn't sit there mean or anything like that. Like, he could, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had all the rights to sit there and be like, are you kidding me? But he didn't do that. You know? So to actually have, you know, Gabby pretty much kind of in some way wishing that, you know, Philip is kind of out is just like, well, damn, this guy was nice to you. He brought you in the company. Even after the whole whatever, he was still decent to you. And that's sort of the repay, like the payback you're going to sit there and give him? Are you serious? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not, you know, I know Gabby's not doing it intentionally, but it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. It did. But I mean, again, if Philip does something to screw up, then that's pretty much on him. As long as she doesn't do anything to help that along, because then I'll actually have a problem with that. And I know the Gabby fans that love Gabby is gonna have smoke for me, but that's just my take on it. Anyway, that's her plan, and Jake's all in. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it. I might have missed maybe one or two things, but for the majority of it, I think I kind of got the majority of it. So yes, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I will see you in the next video.